Hey, welcome back. So, guys, as part of the previous session, we have seen how exactly we can download the Node.js and how exactly we can download the Java and update the Bash profile in our Mac machine, right? So, in detail about this particular Bash profile, anyways, we will study in the next few minutes. For now, the next and the most important thing that we need to download to our machine is an Android Studio. So why we need this Android Studio means the significance of this one is with this particular Android Studio, the complete Android software would be downloaded to your machine so that in future, whenever you connect any Android device, your machine will recognize that particular operating system. So that's the reason it's mandatory for us to download this particular Android Studio in this machine. So I searched for Android Studio download and I'm clicking on a first link that will be navigating to my Android Studio official website. And here it is asking, buddy, you do have an option to download it. So I just clicked on this, download Android Studio. As and when I clicked on that, it's asking a confirmation. So I have a red and mine is an Apple chip. Okay, Mac with an Apple chip. So here I'm selecting this one and I'm clicking on this download. As and when you have selected that, it will take a few seconds for us to complete the download of this particular Android Studio DMG file. And once it got downloaded, then we will continue with that particular further installation. So what additional things that we can do using this particular Android Studio in between it's getting downloaded, right? So I just want to share you a couple more things on that one. So ideally, if you don't have any Android device with you, okay, using this Android Studio, you can create a virtual device. Okay, Android virtual device can be created using this particular Android Studio. That's the first option. And the second one is whatever, what I can say, whatever the Android simulators that you want, you can create as many simulators as you want on this particular chunk. So either a simulator or an emulator, whichever it might be, it's gonna be a virtual device. Ideally, the Android virtual devices, we call them as an emulator, and the iOS virtual devices, we call it as a simulator. We do have an option to create our own virtual device using this particular Android Studio, and additionally, the entire Android software would be downloaded to your machine. Okay, the complete Android software would be downloaded. Perfect. So let me open this particular DMG file so that it will start with a further installation. So ideally, whenever you are working on a Windows, right, the process is a bit differ, but whenever you are working on a Mac machine, whenever you are installing this software, it is asking you to drag this Android Studio and to drop into this applications folder. A drag and drop. So select this one, drag it and drop it onto the applications folder so that whatever the Android Studio that we have downloaded, it will be copied to your applications folder. So just close it. Now the Android Studio is there in your applications folder. So this is what in the left panel is. So click on this particular applications. As and when you click on the applications, the very first file is an Android Studio. Okay, it is just showing it up. So double tap on it so that the Android Studio would be launched. So it is saying that, buddy, you have downloaded this one from an internet. Would you like to open it? Yes, of course I want to open it. So click on an open button. Okay, I just clicked on an open button so that the Android Studio is being launching for me. And it's saying that I would like to send some statistics. So I don't want to do that. So don't send. I clicked on it, don't send. So the Android Studio got a launched for me. So this is the way how exactly it's just displaying for us. Okay, so this is the way how exactly the Android Studio will display for us. Okay, so for me, earlier there was a project. That's the reason the studio is showing it up with a project. But ideally, when you guys create it, right, this is the screen that will populate where you can create a new project. Okay, you can create a new project. Go with an empty activity project. Okay, go with an empty activity project. Give any name for that particular project and click on a finish. That's it. Okay, as and when you click on that particular finish, automatically a new project would be created for us. Okay, good. Now here there is a header and there are some set of options here and here. Okay, so let me close this one. Let me come from here. So this is a device manager. If you click on this particular device manager, it is displaying that a virtual device that was already created, which is a Pixel 5 API version 31 is being showing it up here, which is a virtual device. If at all you want to create a new device, you can click on an add and you can create a new virtual device and you can choose any of this device. Maybe I'm choosing a Pixel 9. Click on a next. I'm just leaving the device name as a Pixel 9 and click on a finish. So automatically, okay, automatically. So I asked it to download an operating system of API 37. That's the reason it is downloading this particular Android OS with a version of API 37, basically API version of 37. It's being downloading. If you already have a latest version in your editor like an Android Studio, it won't ask you to download again directly. It will be creating a new device. But this is the way how exactly you can create a virtual device. If you want, you do have an option to click on this play button with which the existing virtual device would be launched, or you do have a play button or a create button basically. With that particular create button, you can create a virtual device and for which you can choose the desired OS version or an API version and then you can automatically install it. So ideally a question that comes in our mind. So Surendra, you are saying an API version and as well as an Android version. What exactly the thing is? For every Android version that we see, right, there is a corresponding API versions. So that's the same. It is showing it up here. Okay. For every Android version, there is an API respective version is there. Good, done the deal. So here, if you observe the path, so here the SDK path, user, lucky, library, Android, and an SDK. So in this particular machine, inside the library folder, there is an Android folder. Inside the Android, there is an SDK, where in which the complete Android software is there. So here, I'm searching for users. Okay, let me search for users. Go into the users. It is a lucky, and inside the lucky, there is a library folder, and inside the library there is an Android. So look at for this Android. So here is an Android folder and inside that there is an SDK, and this is what the path of this particular Android in your machine. And here it has a platform tools and it has a tools basically. These two folders we need to update it in your bash profile. Okay, that's fine. So here the SDK installation is completed. So click on a finish. So here then the new Pixel 9 is being showing it up here. But for now, I don't want to use anything on my Android Studio. Hence, I am closing it for now. Okay, I don't want to use it. Hence, I am closing my Android Studio for now. And what we need to do now, as said, we need to open the bash profile and as well as a jet profile. I am opening my Finder, okay, where in which I need to go to my, okay, slash users. So basically I need to find my bash profile and a jet profile inside the lucky. So here dot bash profile is there. Right click on it, open with the text edit. So here in which we need to set the Android home. So earlier we have a set a Java home. Now we need to set an Android home. So here if you look at it basically, export Android home is equal to user lucky library Android SDK and also Android SDK root. Android home and as well as an Android SDK root both should point to the same folder. Okay, in some machines Android home it is looking for, and in some machines it is looking for Android SDK root. That's the reason I just gave it as a both the things. And additionally, the next chunk that we need to do here is we need to specify the platform tools. So if you observe here, there is a platform tools, right? And here there is a tools. Okay, in this there are a tools basically. So we need to specify both the paths. So here Android home, platform tools to the path, export it, and also the tools to the path, And also inside the tools, there is a bin directory. You need to set it to that particular path. So here inside the tools, there is a bin directory. Even you need to specify this as part of this particular export. So here we need to do these three exports the same way. Whatever the Android home is there, you will be replacing with an Android SDK root and you will be updating it. So here this is an SDK root, and of course this is also an SDK root. I just updated it. So guys, additionally in our Java home you need to set a bin directory. So this is an additional chunk that you need to do. So these are the overall things that you need to update. Android home that you need to update, Android SDK root you need to update. And another thing is not only the bash profile, whatever the content that you have as part of the bash profile, ideally the same content we will put it as part of a jet profile also. Both these files are used basically, okay, to fetch your environmental variables. So if you guys remember, ideally whenever you are working on your Windows machine, right, environmental variables is the critical thing. For a Mac, both the bash profile and as well as a jet profile. In some machines it will be fetching for a bash profile, and some machines it will be looking for a jet profile. That's the reason I have just created both. Okay, that's the reason I have created a both. And if you remember in the previous session, I told you that if that file is not there, you can create it, right? How can you create it? It means basically, so you need to switch to this directory, which is a lucky. So here, get the info, copy this directory name, go to your terminal, cd, put this one. So user lucky. So what I am asking it, I am asking it to switch to the lucky directory. Yes, of course, it is in the lucky directory. And now touch Surendra dot txt. I have created it. As and when you use a touch, right, it created a file. So which is a Surendra dot txt file got created. So now I am renaming that particular file to dot jet profile. That's it. You can just rename it dot jet profile dot bash profile. You can create it, and even it will be asking, are you sure you want to name a dot with the beginning? Yes, of course, you use it. So that's the way you just need to create a file. And one thumb rule that you need to consider here is whatever the bash profile content is there, the same content you just need to put it as part of a jet profile also. Bash profile and jet profile should have of a same content. Good enough. And one small additional thing that we need as part of a Mac machine, which isn't required for a Windows machine, is an Xcode. So Xcode is the one which developers are using in order to write down the code, but we need to build the applications. Hence, we need an Xcode also. This Xcode you can't directly download it from the from the Google basically. We need to download this particular Xcode from your App Store itself. So that's the reason. From the footer, I'm picking up this App Store icon. So App Store icon. So if at all you are having an Apple ID, right? So try to log in with your Apple ID. If not, developer.apple.com, create an account and then log in into your account, and here search for Xcode. As and when you search for Xcode, it will display that particular Xcode, and now it is showing as an open, which I have already installed. Whereas for you it will display for you an install button or get it. So just click on it and complete that particular installation, or getting the Xcode into your local. It will take a few seconds to get this particular Xcode, but this is an additional prerequisite that you need to have in your Mac machine. Okay, perfectly all right. See you again in the next lecture with the next topic. Thank you. Bye bye.